GTA 6 will feature lots of interesting locations that will be exciting to explore and just wander around. In this video, we're going to talk about each location that was shown to us in GTA 6. We're going to talk about Leonida Keys, Port Gellhorn, Ambrosia, Grassrivers, Mount Kalaga, and of course, the one and only Vice City, which is the sweetest part of the whole map. We will talk about everything we know based on trailers, screenshots, official description, and even a community-made map to get a better understanding of how it will look in the game. That being said, let's begin with Leonida Keys, Gateway to Paradise. The dress code is casual, the bars are loaded. Life in this tropical archipelago isn't flashy, but it's easy. Get your bars on and pull up a deck chair, but look out, you are right on the doorstep of some of the most beautiful and dangerous waters in all of America. So, as that description implies, Leonida Keys is basically a paradise. However, what is most interesting about this is the phrase about the most beautiful and dangerous waters in all of America. Obviously, from all the screenshots and trailer shots we have seen of this place, it is definitely beautiful, no doubt about that. And what about dangerous? Well, I want to say that in GTA 6 we will have a spear gun, which will probably be used in some mission, most likely an underwater mission. I believe that we will be able to hunt sharks. That is why those waters are dangerous. Sharks are probably the biggest threat. What is even more interesting is the underwater life. It will surely be pretty varied, and there will be underwater treasures and secrets that we will be able to find, just as we had in GTA 5. But this time, expect it to be much better and more interesting. You know, I have to bring up one thing. I'm a big Dexter fan. If you watch the series, you probably know what I'm about to say. GTA 6, with its Florida and Miami inspired setting, is the perfect location for Dexter Easter eggs, especially something like black trash bags full of human remains on the ocean floor. Discoveries like that underwater would surely remind players of Dexter and would be a perfect direct Easter egg to the series. Now let's look at the postcard from the official GTA 6 website. What exactly does it reveal? Obviously, this shot is absolutely beautiful. We see lots of different boats, bigger and smaller ones, including small yachts, jet skis, and a plane. This is actually Key Lanta, based on a real-life Key Largo. The place is pretty big, there are lots of houses, even apartment buildings around 5 stories high, and plenty of interesting things. We also have small islands on the left side and even on the right side. I believe it is very possible that some kind of loot or maybe even treasures will be on those islands, so it's worth exploring them. We can also see a few bridges that we'll talk about a bit later. But this place looks amazing, and I think this location alone has so much to explore and do. Life here is just buzzing. Now let's take a look at the trailers, because Leonida Keys actually appeared in both of them and quite a lot in the second one. We will begin with the first one. It appeared only once in trailer 1 in this shot. It looks a lot like the screenshot from trailer 2, and even like the postcard, it feels similar because of the plane. It gives the same vibe, but this place again looks absolutely amazing. The color of the water, the trees and the small islands all stand out. You can even see a campfire on one of the islands. It looks incredible. Here we can see bigger yachts as well. They are quite large this time. We can see some kind of buildings that I think will probably be able to enter. There is a bridge going towards Vice City and another one that is destroyed, which actually exists in real life. We can see jet skis and lots of different cars. What is interesting is the blimp. In real life it is called Fat Albert, and it is used to monitor drug smuggling, human trafficking and illegal air or ocean activity, basically to spot planes and boats. Once again, this place looks absolutely amazing. All these islands can be visited and explored. Just imagine those GTA 6 night drives with music from the car radio through the Keys, Vice City and across the whole map. I think it will be unbelievable. Now let's move to the second trailer, because Leonida Keys appeared many times there, right from the beginning. As you can see, this shot is absolutely amazing. It looks much better than trailer 1, because the graphics were so good, people thought it was CGI, but it actually in-game. It's from the other side of the location we just saw. You can actually see the blimp I was talking about, Fat Albert over there. There are lots of beautiful buildings, boats, jet skis, sea life, flamingos, birds and people sitting on the dock. And this place looks huge from this point of view. Then we can see what looks like an ice cream truck or maybe a building that sells ice cream, but I think this is some kind of Easter egg toward the original GTA Vice City, because you could own an ice cream business and drive ice cream truck there. So maybe it is some kind of tribute. Then we can see Brian's Boatworks and Marina, which will be a significant place in the story, and the hangar where many things will happen. Then the next shot is Jason on the roof fixing some leaks. Obviously this will be our safe house, and we will spend quite some time there, especially in the early parts of the game. I'm not sure where or how the beginning of the game will take place, but what I'm most completely sure about is that the first few chapters or the first few hours of the main story will definitely spent in this location living in this safe house. For one, because we know Jason picks up Lucia from jail and they go back into this exact house, and that is clearly not late game or mid game, it is early in the game. So it basically shows us that this place will be our home at the beginning of the game. We can also see an iguana wearing a golden crown and a red Hawaiian shirt. There are two cars, one on the left Jason is probably repairing, and one on the right is the main car he drives, a Vapid. We can obviously see a basketball hoop, which suggests that we will be able to play basketball in the game. This place feels very beautiful and cozy, just honestly so serene. And then we can see Brian pulling up in his car a Kara 4x4, a beautiful huge truck that looks absolutely amazing. We can get a better look at the other car on the left that I was just talking about. Then we can see a raccoon crawling out of a trash bin over there, which looks like some kind of a random event, and that also looks great. Right here we can see what will be visible from our safe house, basically a driveway, lots of houses, a car driving by, a stop sign, and again this place looks very cozy. By the way, Jason has a boat, and many people speculated that it is actually Michael's boat that was stolen because it looks familiar, but I guess we will find out soon. And here Jason is entering safe house, we can see some interior inside and the bridge over there. Then in the next shot Jason is driving by the houses and one woman recognizes him and greets him, and as you can see he feels good about this, so I think he's pretty well known in this area. Then he does what Brian asked him to do, to gather money from his tenants. That is probably what he is doing here, beating up a clerk in the souvenir store and taking his money. It all happens in Leonida Keys. This shot inside the store looks absolutely amazing. Again, I'm not going to go over all the details because I have already done that like a couple of times, but you can pause the video and look for yourself. Then the next shot is right here in the convenience store. It also happens in Leonida Keys. Jason is walking out of the store with an 8-pack of beer. Again, I am not going to go over all the details, but this place looks very packed and beautiful, and the outside as well looks nice. Then this shot with Lucia, they are on the bed, they're having a good time, and this actually happens in the safe house that Brian gives them and where they live, the one I just showed you. Here Jason and Lucia are drinking, they are in some kind of bar that we will actually get quite a few good looks at a little later. You can obviously see that this place is pretty big, and the place where they're sitting on the dock by the boat is right next to that bar we just saw. Then we get another look at it right here, so we can see a big yacht with a party going on, lots of NPCs on it, and a few small boats and jet skis with the sunset, which looks absolutely stunning. Then here we are at Brian's Boatworks and Marina, in his hangar, as I said when we were talking about the first few shots from trailer 2. It is actually pretty big, as you can see from this point of view. You can obviously see a boat, plane, Brian himself and Jason. Then there is another shot where Lucia is picking up trash. I am not sure where it actually takes place, but I believe it is somewhere in Leonida Keys, and look at this. Lucia is also wearing Brian Boatworks and Marina cap, so we know it is definitely her, though you could tell from the outfit anyway. Then again, this proves my point, Jason and Lucia are inside that safe house. We can get a better look and we can see a terrarium with a snake, a fridge, a room with a bed and a toilet by the door. This place looks pretty cool too. Then that bar where they were drinking beer is shown from the inside. We can get a pretty good look at it and we can see some kind of friend reunion with Jason, Lucia, Cowhampton and two mysterious characters, but they're definitely connected to Jason and Lucia. I made a video about them too, so if you want you can check it out, but this is the bar that I believe we'll be visiting quite often. Then in this shot we can see Brian, his wife Lori and Jason talking. Brian clearly says they got everything on Jason. We do not know who he's talking about exactly, probably the federal agents. But it all happens in the hangar that Brian owns and it takes place in Leonida Keys. Then we can see some type of preparation where Jason and Lucia are getting ready for a heist. They're inside the house and it looks pretty interesting too. Once again in another shot we can see Lucia coming back from her public work. Again it all happens in that safe house. We can get a better look at the terrarium with a snake and a better look at the whole place from inside too. There is some kind of storage area on top. The place looks pretty cool and I really like it. The last shot that takes place in Leonida Keys is here. It happens in Brian's hangar once again. It focuses on Cowhampton. You can see a boat in the background. We can see that in the back there are quite a few workers over there, so the business of Brian is thriving. I really hope I have not missed any more trailer 2 shots that had Leonida Keys in them, but we actually have 2 more shorter videos to talk about. They are small, but they were given separately along with the screenshots on Rockstar's official GTA 6 website. One video involves Brian Hedder. It all happens again in his hangar. They're seemingly preparing for some kind of mission while Brian is just chilling, sitting on the chair drinking E-Cola. We can see his wife, Lori, with a gun getting ready for some action. And another shot that actually takes place in Leonida Keys is the one with Carl Hampton on a boat with a plane flying over him and dropping something. It is obviously drugs. As they work for Brian, most of what they do will be happening in Leonida Keys or around Leonida Keys area, so it's definitely not Port Gellhorn or Vice City. I really wanted to say that we are ready now to look at screenshots, but we have 2 more artworks to talk about. The first one is Brian Hedder inside his boatworks and marina. You can see lots of different boats stacked up against the walls, and one that has probably been repaired and worked on. What is also interesting is what Brian has on his table. It is a map, very likely of Leonida Keys, with some targets on it. So it's probably some type of a mission Brian is planning for us. You can see some things in grey wrap, which are probably drugs. We can see ammo and Lavazza's beer. This shot looks pretty cool and gives us a bit more understanding of what will be happening in this area. And the last one is Carl Hampton. Once again, it takes place in none other than Leonida Keys. We can see a plane in the back, a boat, some kind of yacht, a bridge, and Carl drinking Patriot beer while sitting on the boat. Again, it takes place somewhere in Leonida Keys and it shows us what Carl Hampton will look like. Now, we are finally done with all this extra stuff and we get to the main part, which is screenshots. Right here, this shot looks a lot like the shot from trailer 1, but it's different actually and takes place in another area. Once again, we can see jet skis, a lot of boats, some people camping. You can literally see their campfire and overshone boat, people just having a picnic and chilling. There is lots of vegetation, more boats, some kind of military or police boat probably, and then a container carrier. So obviously this is another part of the Keys and it is actually called Bahia Honda Key. We also get some look here at Key Lento from another angle. We already got a pretty good look at this place and the left side is not visible, but this place where you can see a building is actually the blimp again. We can see trucks and cars and this place looks pretty cool. In the background we can see Vice City, a huge cell tower that would be nice to climb and jump from. And just look at Vice City again. It's pretty big. We also see some kind of factory there, lots of bridges, so it is a pretty long and nice drive towards Vice City from the Keys area. And by the way, this is not all the Keys because there is more on the left side that is not visible. Then right here we can see some kind of souvenir store and lots of tourists. You can literally see tourist buses, an iguana, a dog, a guy on a bike, people taking selfies, 2 guys climbing a whale statue while one takes a picture of them, some kind of advertisements for a boat and the cheap body shop. This souvenir store probably is called One Whale, judging by the sign here, and it looks pretty interesting to be honest. I wonder how interactive these tourists will be, because I bet we'll be able to make their sightseeing much more interesting, if you know what I mean. Right here we can get a better look at people living in this area, and those are not tourists, they are at the Rusty Anchor Bar. Lots of people, a guy completely drunk on beer, 2 people kissing, one taking a piss, lots of people talking, some kind of crab festival going on, and actually this woman is not random. We will talk about her a bit later, but she is definitely not a random character, and if you remember the iguana from the beginning of the second trailer under our safe house, this is the one with the red Hawaiian shot and the crown. This woman is important to the story even though we do not know what role she will play yet, but still it looks pretty cool and I really want to visit that place. In this screenshot we get a better look at the underwater life. We see 2 divers, lots of fish, sea turtles and eel, and this place looks pretty cool. As I said, underwater exploration will probably be on a whole other level with a spear gun. We'll be able to take down sharks, some missions are also possible, and expect buried treasures. Right here we get a look at some party going on in this area, which looks pretty cool, and it shows us that this area will be very interactive and people here like to party a lot. Lots of expensive small, big boats and yachts are visible. There are jet skis, houses in the back, and the bridge that goes from the quay where the blimp is located to to Kylento, where our safe house and everything will be. And you can see lots of different people with different body types on different boats with different engines. It shows us variety. There is a guy chilling on a pink inflatable flamingo. We can literally see a shark under that guy and he has no clue. But the guy holding a beer in his hand clearly spotted the threat. So sharks are confirmed. If you thought that was it, it's not. We have even more screenshots that take place in Leonida Keys. Here is a screenshot of Brian. And the guy in the background, he is not a random guy. I made a video about those mysterious characters as I already mentioned. This guy obviously works for Brian. As you can see, he's with them here, so he's not a random guy. This is actually the bar that Lucy and Jason were drinking beer at and sitting on the dock. And actually something that I noticed is that Brian is a big fan of Lavaza's beer. Because Carl is drinking Patriot beer, while Brian is drinking Lavaza's beer. So they each have their preference, which is also cool, and it shows that it's not just random. Then here he's telling one of his workers, probably the guy from the previous screenshot, who is sitting in the plane, to take this package of something you probably already know to some place. In the back we can see Brian's boat works at the marina, so it basically happens in Leonida Keys. Brian seems a little bit irritated, or at least he's clearly giving some instructions to the guy so he does everything right. And I also believe that Brian is a big fan of Hawaiian shorts, and in place like Miami, Florida, he probably should be because it's hot in there. Here again we can see Brian, Jason and Brian's wife Lori. What really interested me the most is the Hawaiian shirt Brian is wearing in this exact screenshot, because I believe it is a direct Easter egg to Vice City's character Ricardo Diaz, who wore a Hawaiian shirt just like this. Another important thing is that it happens in Leonida Keys, and we can see a gas station in the background. Brian is handing a gun to Jason, so he's obviously giving him some instructions again. Jason has a bigger beard here, which means we can grow beards as expected because we had that feature in Red Dead Redemption 2. Then there is the screenshot of Cowhampton, which also features Jason and two other unnamed characters I talked about. You can see the woman I mentioned with iguana, she is not random again. You can see that same iguana under our safe house, in another screenshot on that woman, and in this screenshot right here. That tells us she is not random and that she is somehow relevant to the story. I believe this takes place in the bar we talked about, which is the Rusty Anchor. At least that is my opinion. By the way, you can see that they are playing pool. Jason has a short saying Kylento, which is actually the place he lives at. The guy talking to the woman is, I think, the guy from the screenshot with Brian in the background. I think it is the same guy. Another screenshot shows Cowhampton and Jason. As you probably understand, Jason and Cow are good friends. In the background we can see Brian's boat works at marina once again, so they are probably either going to a mission or coming back from one. They have duffel bags seemingly full of money because they look happy, and I do not think that they are heading to a mission. They have probably already finished it and got their reward from Brian. It is not clear, but it still looks interesting. Then here is a screenshot of Jason fishing with our buddy Cowhampton. Jason is obviously fishing and having a great time while Cow is looking at something. Maybe they are trying to stay inconspicuous and investigate something for a mission. In the background we can see Kylento and the apartment building that is 5 stories high that we saw before. Once again there is the screenshot from the bar. I think it is again the bar called the Rusty Anchor. Do not be mad at me if I'm wrong. Still, we can see Jason and Cow having a beer. Jason drinks lager beer while Cow drinks Patriot beer. In the background we can see 2 angry guys and Cow is alerting Jason that something is not right. So a fight is probably going to take place. We can see money in a clip and a cigarette in an ashtray on the table, and this whole screenshot looks very cinematic and cool. Finally, we need to take a look at the community made map. The map was created by Yanis and a number of people on Discord, and they deserve to be credited for this insanely hard and detailed work because it takes a lot of time, people and triangulation to create this map. By the way, it looks great too, so let's get into it. Obviously, Leonida Keys will be located at the bottom of the map, and this area, even though it looks pretty thin, is still pretty big and interesting. So let's begin from the left side, which is less known, and move toward the most known and detailed part of the map. Here, this is called Key West. It is not clear if it will be in the game, but it's speculated. It is also speculated that a naval air station will be in the Keys. Then this shot from trailer 1 takes place right here and overlooks Bahia Honda Key, where we can see the blimp Fat Albert and everything. The bridges that go there are also visible and they are located right here. This area is also mapped out, but honestly there is not much there other than that blimp. Right here we can see the screenshot that came with trailer 2. It overlooks this way towards Vice City. You can see all these bridges and Key Lento on the right, where all the interesting stuff begins. Again, it focuses on Key Lento. It shows us more buildings and more places in Key Lento that we are going to talk about now. And obviously this screenshot basically gives us a clearer view. Again, it focuses on Key Lento. It shows us more buildings and more places in Key Lento that we are going to talk about now. We have reached the most interesting part of Leonida Keys, Key Lento, where everything takes place, where we will actually have our safe house, Brian's Marina and Boatworks, and more. Look at this. They mapped out almost every building in this area and they actually found real-life counterparts for many of those buildings, as you can see on the screen. I'm not gonna go over each and every one of them because it does not really give us anything. But here, the shot where Jason and Kyle are fishing on the boat, as I said, is right here. In the screenshot we can see Key Lento in the background and that apartment building right here, which is pretty big, and that gives away where the shot takes place. Then again, right here, another screenshot where a boat party is going on. It is located right here because we can obviously see that bridge, some houses and the tower, the place where the tourists are going to the souvenir store. This takes place here. Then the moment from trailer 2 where Jason is buying a pack of Patriot beer and walking out of a convenience store takes place just next to that souvenir store. Over here we have Brian's hangar. As you can see, it is also mapped in some way. We can obviously see many more moments from trailer 2 and the screenshots we were talking about, including the shot where Brian is giving instructions to his worker. Then right here in the bar I was talking about the dock where Jason and Lucia were sitting, drinking and having a good time. We obviously have lots of screenshots from this place. By the way, you can see that they put both of these bars in the same location, so on this map, this place, the Rusty Anchor, is said to be this bar that we saw from different angles. Maybe they're right, maybe I'm wrong, maybe those are two separate bars. Then the most interesting place is the safe house. The safe house where the early part of the game will take place, the one Jason was repairing, and they actually found a real life counterpart that this house was based on, which you can see right here. Obviously it is located almost next to everything, next to the bar, next to Brian's Boatworks and Marina. Everything looks pretty dense on that map, and it is also pretty close to the bridge, so we can easily go to Vice City from there. It is also a pretty long drive from here to Vice City, and the last shot is from the beginning of trailer 2 to be more exact. It takes place right here and looks absolutely amazing overlooking this place. Finally, they actually located where that short video of Carl Hampton sitting on a boat and getting a package drop from a plane takes place. I think they managed to figure it out from just this bridge that was seen at the end, which takes place right here. And this is basically everything you need to know about Leonida Keys and how it looks.
We got more guns than the law allows!
First of all, let's look at the description on the official GTA 6 website. Live hard. This is Leonida's forgotten coast. Cheap motels, shut down attractions and empty strip malls won't bring the tourists back. But there is a new economy in this once popular vacation spot. It's fueled by malt liquor, painkillers and truck stop energy drinks. Jump on a dirt bike and hold on to your wallet. So as you must understand, this place once was a prosperous town that actually had lots of tourists. However, things have changed and we could actually see that from screenshots. Now this place lives based off different economy, and that economy is crimes and drugs. Obviously not just painkillers. So it's a pretty gritty place with a specific group of people living there, and we could probably call this place somewhat dangerous. We should expect many weird people and interesting events and crimes happening there. Maybe there will be a drug operation running somewhere, which would be understandable, or a killer living in that area with a mystery we'll have to solve. Obviously it's just my ideas, but you know, it's Rockstar and they could make it come true. Before we move to look at screenshots and trailers, because there is a lot to discuss, I believe we should take a closer look at the postcard that was given to us on the website. It actually moves when you are on the website, but we will look at this static postcard that was given to us. First of all, you can see the train track and the person waiting for his train to come. Obviously, as it was in GTA 4 and GTA 5, Red Dead Redemption 2, we will also be able to use use those trains as well. And if you played Red Dead Redemption 2, you might know that those trains could be a pretty good way of earning money, especially in the beginning of the game. In Red Dead Redemption 2, you could stop the train on the bridge and rob everybody on it. That's something I believe we'll be able to do in GTA 6 for sure. You can also see Juice Fruit sign on the right, cars going in and out, you can see trucks. This area is more industrial as there are no tourists now. In the back you can see lots of industrial buildings and factories. And look at this interesting person in the purple hoodie. It's definitely not his car, as this guy is trying to sneak up to look inside the car, maybe to spot something valuable. Then looking over there we can see repairs and salvage, which means there is a salvage yard, and I believe that this location will be full of things we can loot, break into, and something interesting we can find, like mysteries as I said before. Maybe even some collectibles, like hats as it was in Red Dead Redemption 2. I think it's really plausible. And obviously, as the location called Port Gellhorn, we can see a port behind in the distance. You can see cranes, boats, a water tower that you can climb and probably loot something from there. So this is just one shot of Port Gellhorn that we get to look at, and believe me, there is much more to discuss. So the first trailer gives us the idea of what will be happening in Port Gellhorn and what we'll be able to do there. The robbery inside a convenience store is happening in Port Gellhorn. It's the first trailer. We can see Lucy and Jason walking out of the store. Seems like they already have everything they need. They have money they took from the store and they're trying to leave at the moment. Then we see an alligator entering inside the gas station. It happens just nearby Starlight Motel, which is basically a part of Port Gellhorn, but we'll talk about that a bit later. As you might understand, a lot of interesting things will be happening there, and these locations as the store and gas station are very detailed. The amount of detail is just mind-boggling. The number of things within this shot of gas station makes me think that even in 2023, when this trailer came out, it was already amazing. And it was. But when it comes out in 2026, almost 2027, we'll be absolutely blown away. Then this pretty cool shot where you see Jason. He seems to have already robbed the store we're talking about, and they are riding away because they look very happy, and obviously the fits that you see, they are the same. In the back we can see pawn and gun, so basically a gun shop, a lot of cars, and that's a pretty rundown location. In the back you can see house being under construction and another one that is almost completely abandoned with no roof. We also see an advertisement of shoe store and some other hangar by the side of the road. It's all happening in Port Gellhorn because it literally says on that sign, as they're drifting, you can see Port Gellhorn, pawn and gun. So there is no doubt about this shot being in Port Gellhorn. And the ending scene in the motel where Lucy and Jason are on the bed talking, obviously you might have seen it in the leaks, and it was obvious that it's Port Gellhorn as well. It's the same motel that we actually see in trailer 2, but we'll get to that a bit later. We also have an artwork of that same motel. You can see it all matches up, the wooden wall, the bed and everything, it's the same. And take a look at this. In that artwork they have a huge duffel bag of money. So they have robbed something, and it's not a convenience store, it's not a pawn shop, it's something much bigger, like a small bank or even a big bank. They are lying low in that motel with that bag of money. It's not clear when it's taken place exactly, in what part of the game, but it's definitely not in the beginning, maybe closer to the middle, but with that bag of money it points to a pretty big heist that have happened. Now let's move on to the second trailer. The first shot we can clearly make out shows Jason and Lucia sitting in a car. This scene is very likely set in Port Gellhorn. According to the community that created the map, this shot appears to be in Port Gellhorn. While there are bikers visible in the background, a detail that might initially make you think of Ambrosia since it's known for biker gangs, this still seems to confirm Port Gellhorn as the location. Another shot we notice in the second trailer features the Starlight Motel. We saw this location in the leaks, and it also appeared briefly at the end of the first trailer as I said before. In the second trailer, however, we get to see the exterior of the motel. Fans already familiar with the leaks will recognize it immediately, as it was very prominent, especially in the scene with the dialogue about Jay Norris. Here the trailer gives us a slightly different perspective than the screenshots we obviously saw already. There is also a scene inside the motel with Lucy and Jason again. It is the room we saw in the first trailer's final scenes, but this time they are near the bed rather than on it, likely about to get on it in the next moment. This is the same room highlighted in the leaks, the first trailer and the official artwork. It seems to serve as a safe safe hideout, probably after a major heist. Notably, Lucia's ankle monitor isn't on her leg, indicating that this is not the beginning of the game, it's likely set around middle chapters. Finally, the last shots in the trailer show Jason on a bike chasing someone. A red sign reading Gellhorn, clearly indicating that this scene is set in Port Gellhorn rather than Ambrosia. We also see signs like Wisedale and Mariana County, along with plenty of cars, adding to the realism of the environment. In one sequence, Jason jumps from his bike onto the car Lucia is driving, passing by Watkins Auto Parts and a shop selling burned out scooters. This appears to be part of a high-stakes mission in Port Gellhorn, which could be possibly connected to a huge duffel bag of money. Overall, it looks like this mission will be intense, and the Starlight Motel will likely serve as our safe house for an extended portion of the game. Now we are getting a closer look at some screenshots. Let's start with the Starlight Motel, which we have already discussed, and I have shown you this screenshot before, but now let's examine it more closely. We saw this location in the first trailer from inside, and in the second trailer from the outside when Jason was beating up a guy. Now this screenshot gives us a detailed perspective. In the image, there is a woman talking to a man sitting in a canis, more specifically a canis jeep. She seems like what you might call a night butterfly. There is some construction going on in the area, possibly maintenance or pipe work. On the left there is a man with a chain, seemingly occupied with a cigarette or something else, giving off shady vibe. And near the entrance, two women are present. One of them is taking a picture of a cat. Through the windows, you can catch a glimpse of the motel's interior. The sign looks run down, advertising king-size beds and low rates, and you can literally see pigeons on the sign. Also, there is a pool with Wi-Fi, though the pool area seems mostly empty without any water. A woman is lying by the pool at night, possibly intoxicated. This definitely is Port Gellhorn, and it's a very interesting part of the map. Next, we see two men who clearly aren't just random NPCs, they are criminals. Behind them there appears to be a small plantation of some kind of operation, which could explain where Lucia and Jason got that huge duffel bag of money. Perhaps they robbed the man of funds earned through illicit activity like selling drugs. While we can't pinpoint the exact location, it gives us hints about potential missions connected to this area. Then there is another scene reinforcing the criminal activity theme. A woman is selling blue pills to the man in the car, while another man in the background acts as a bodyguard to make sure the trade goes smoothly. So this confirms that drug trade and criminal operation will be a significant part of this location and likely central to some missions in the game. Now, here we get a look at a pretty interesting location, a strip club, and I want to point out that we now have two of them in GTA 6. Because in GTA 5 there was only one, but in GTA 6 there are two. The one we are looking at is called The Lights, while the other, Jack of Hearts, is in Vice City and owned by Booby Ike. But let's focus on The Lights for now. So it's clear this club is active and lively. They are hiring dancers, serving food, and open all night. In the scene we can also spot two homeless people, one pushing a cart full of his belongings and another woman who looks to be in terrible condition, clearly living on the street. There is also a man being kicked out of that club, which seems like a random event that we'll probably encounter frequently throughout the game. On the left we can see a man who looks like a biker. There are two dancers, a bodyguard keeping watch, and two people talking, possibly maybe even conducting some kind of trade, though it's hard to say for sure. An interesting detail is that the game will feature male strippers for the first time, which is an addition, especially for female players. And in the background there are houses, a van driving by, and overall the area looks impressively detailed. There is a lot of happening in this scene. It looks like a casual gathering, maybe a group of friends hanging out. You can spot some flirting, like a guy lying by a car with a wet belly, holding a Patriot beer in his hand, while a woman with a large bazookas playfully floats with him. On the left, people are sitting in the trunk of a car, which is a fantastic new feature. We haven't seen anything like this in GTA 5 or any previous GTA, especially with the NPCs. There is also a huge box of beers in the scene. The girl on the right bears a strong resemblance to Lucia. Meanwhile, a man is carrying a wooden pallet, presumably moving it somewhere, showing that the environment is full of activity. Overall, nothing here seems illegal, just people enjoying themselves, but it's a lovely and interesting scene. If, for example, we as a player pass by this group at night in GTA 6, it could be pretty fun. Very cool interactive moment, offering the chance to see what they are up to, or perhaps engage with them in some way, or just rob them. Finally, we need to take a closer look at the community community map created by fans, the state of Leonida made by Yanis, and many other talented members of the mapping community on Discord. Huge respect and credit to all of them for their incredible work. I'll be using this map to guide our discussion and show you how locations fit together. So, Port Gellhorn, beginning with the Starlet Motel. As you can see, there are labels like L19, L143. These correspond to information from the leaks. We won't go into the clips themselves, but the map clearly shows the shot from trailer 2 by the pool, as well as the screenshot I just mentioned from the side of the road. Across from the motel, there is actually the gas station from the first trailer, the one where the alligator appeared. Nearby, there is a Taco Bomb, a real-life restaurant. This shows that Starlet Motel will be located just outside of Port Gellhorn, maybe a 20-second drive from the heart of the city. Next, we have T277 from Trailer 2, the shot I mentioned earlier. It shows part of a pursuit with Jason chasing someone on a bike. We can actually see the continuation of that chase here. It's not entirely clear which part happens first, but one segment of the pursuit occurs next to a restaurant, as you can see, while another takes place near the convenience store that Jason and Lucia were robbing in Trailer 1, just located here. We also need to look at the shot from Trailer 1, showing Jason and Lucia driving and drifting near the Pawn and Gun in Port Gellhorn, which we discussed earlier. Nearby there is the Lucky Pluck Diner, which appears well maintained. And of course, there are also shots from the leaks, which I cannot show here, but all of this is accurately represented on the map. Then, at the beginning of the video, I mentioned the postcard, you might remember it. That postcard actually comes from this exact spot. As you can see, it overlooks the bridge and the port. The area isn't fully mapped out yet since there aren't many visible details, but it still gives us a clear idea of where it takes place, right next to the strip club we discussed earlier, the lights. Everything in this part of Port Gellhorn is really close together. The store that was being robbed is nearby, the pursuit from Trailer 2 happened just over here, and the strip club is right here as well. So all of these locations are packed into a very small area, making this part of the city feel dense and very interconnected. Remember the NPCs hanging out? That scene actually takes place right here, as mapped out in this image. I don't know exactly how the community managed to pinpoint it on the map, but they're definitely correct. It's incredible how much work they put into making that level of detail possible. Finally, there is this shot I want to discuss. As I mentioned earlier, it's not entirely clear whether it's Ambrosia or Port Gellhorn, since we see bikers in the background. Of course, bikers aren't exclusive to Ambrosia, they could very well be in Port Gellhorn too, but according to the map, this scene takes place along this road with a hotel nearby. We also saw this location in the leaks, as you can see right here. So all of this gives us a pretty good picture of how Port Gellhorn looks right now. Areas marked in black and grey are largely confirmed through leaks, trailers, screenshots and triangulation, so that information is very reliable. Everything marked in red is still speculative, but it seems likely we'll have a raceway here along with some kind of hill that appears in the leaks. Vice City is the most iconic, beautiful and vibrant place in the entire GTA 6 map that Rockstar has created. It is arguably one of the most exciting parts of the map, capturing the glamour, hustle and energy of America in a single city. Everything in excess. We're a long way from the 80s, but Vice City is still the sun and fun capital of America. The glamour, hustle and greed of America captured in a single city. Each neighborhood has something to offer, from the pastel Art Deco hotels and bright white sands of Ocean Beach to the bustling panaderias of Little Cuba and the bootleg brands of the T-shirt Walker flea market, out to the VC port, the cruise ship capital of the world. As the description implies, Vice City is a long way from the 80s, which is obvious. It is also a clear Easter egg and reference to the original Vice City game that came out in 2002. The website says that it still has the same fun and atmosphere it always had, and honestly, it was amazing before. A lot of locations from the original GTA Vice City map will return, and I'm pretty sure we have already seen some of them in trailers. They also mentioned the T-shirt Walker flea market, which is actually based on the real-life Op Locker indoor flea market. The cruise ship capital of the world is mentioned as well, and it would be absolutely crazy to actually get control of a cruise ship. We saw in a screenshot that there is a cruise ship, a huge one by the way. It is not clear whether we will be able to take control of it and actually drive it, but if that's possible, it would be mind-blowing. Even just exploring that massive thing would be amazing. Now let's look at the postcard of Vice City. First of all, it looks absolutely beautiful. We see lots of skyscrapers and high rises in the back, and one of them is actually being built. But let's hope we do not get the same thing we had in GTA 5, because in GTA 5 they never finished building that skyscraper. We do not want a story like that in GTA 6. Here, if we take a close look, we see an island. Obviously it seems pretty empty except for the trees, but I think that on each island there is a very good chance that some things can be found there, maybe even treasures. If that is the case, then that would be really nice and fun. We also see lots of boats, yachts, mega yachts and super yachts, all of which look amazing, and obviously they will be drivable. We can see more buildings being constructed over there to the right, along with cranes and some kind of factory. The place we saw from trailer 1 is right here too. You can see a Ferris wheel, which will also be visible from a screenshot we will talk about a little later. If I'm not mistaken, what we can actually see here is the cruise ship I mentioned before, and it is extremely huge, to be honest. Now let's take a closer look at the trailers, because Vice City appeared many times in both of them. We will begin with the first one. This is already one of the most iconic shots, the view of the Vice Beach area. We see lots of people on the beach, some kind of yacht, a boat, jet skis, a shark, lots of birds, cars driving on the beach, and the plane with advertisements for the Club 919 that we will visit quite a lot in the game too. Here we can also see just how many buildings there are and how big this place really is. Lots of high rises, skyscrapers, and definitely plenty of places to explore. Honestly, Vice City is much bigger than Los Santos in GTA 5. The very next shot gives us another look at this place. Again, more high-rise buildings that hopefully we'll be able to enter. Obviously not every building will be enterable, but maybe Rockstar will surprise us with the amount of places and interiors we can go into. On the left you can actually see a drawbridge, which will open a lot of possibilities for stunt jumps, streaks and more, which is pretty cool. If you look closely at the windows, you can actually see the interior inside, so it either means the building is enterable or it's just very well made. Each balcony has something unique too, like towels, surfboards and more, which is also a very nice touch. By the way, you can see people standing on the balcony. Another shot that has been shown very often is the beach shot, where we can see lots of NPCs with different body types doing different things. In the back, the buildings we have just seen are visible again. You can see a few helicopters and the plane. Overall, the world feels very lively. Just looking at what people are doing is fun, because we can see a jacked man and a fit woman with a dog. There is no secret that the weight system will be in the game, and it will be somewhat like San Andreas, where you could get jacked or fat. So yes, that system will be in the game. We'll also see a guy taking a video of his girl dancing. Many people are sunbathing, some are on their phones, and some are getting sunscreen on their skin. This shot is really cool, and the sand looks great too. Here is the Vice City port, lots of boats, and the shipping vessel with containers on it visible. If you remember the leaks, Jason actually opened the container and found a bike there with gold bars. That will definitely be in the game, and opening containers is going to be a very fun activity that I cannot wait to do. In the back, Vice City and planes are also visible. Right here we can see Lucia and Jason driving in the heart of Vice City. We actually get another look at this place from a different angle later, near the Ferris wheel and the stadium called Sahara Arena. A guy is filming Lucia, and the nightlife in Vice City looks amazing. We will get a better look at it a little later, but even in this shot, the amount of details and how beautiful the neon lights and everything looks is just unbelievable. Here you can see a bunch of people gathering to show off their customized vehicles, and the vehicle customization will be most likely insane. It will be absolutely amazing. You can see many people on many different cars with lots of variations and upgrades. Here we get a look at Jack of Hearts Strip Club, which we saw in the leaks a few times. It will be a major place in the story, and the place we'll probably visit quite a lot of times in our free time too. It is obviously in Vice City, owned by Booby Ike. This shot is once again absolutely amazing. It is nighttime and we see lots of different yachts and boats. They look pretty cool, and what makes me happy about the game is that every yacht will probably be drivable. I do not know about the cruise ship though, but every yacht we see here should be able to move, and that is crazy. Overall, nighttime in the game looks beautiful, and driving around the map with music will be so relaxing and breathtaking. Especially think about the first time you'll do it. I think we'll all enjoy that a lot. We get a pretty good look at Ocean Beach, a place we know very well from the original Vice City if you played it. Lots of expensive, good looking cars, nightlife buzzing, people having fun, a guy with an iguana on his shoulder is begging for money, people are walking by him. This place will be very interesting to walk through or drive through at night with all those lights and NPCs around. Then we see the club, DJ playing music, everybody hyped up. It also looks pretty cool with a big crowd and every NPC looking different. It will be interesting to see how it actually looks in the game. It is happening outdoors and I think it could be this area because the screenshot of Drake 1 Priest is probably taking place somewhere around that place. I might be wrong, so do not rely on my words completely. Next up, I do not want to spark a discussion in the comments, but with the shot of the girl who looks a lot like Lucia, I still believe it is her and it's not just a random NPC. So I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is it actually Lucia or just an NPC that looks a lot like her? But let's keep focusing on Vice City in the background, because that is what we are discussing. In the back we can see a basketball court and lots of buildings again. The place we see in the back will be talked about later too, because it is actually in the official website screenshot. You can see that same basketball court where Jason, Carl Hampton and Lucia are playing basketball, so it's definitely a place we'll visit. Here a rich old guy is visible on a yacht with many women, basically having a party. It actually depicts real life Miami pretty well, I think. The person who posted the video has the name Dead Bot Squad and the caption says, "Hey puppy, save some sugar baby for the rest of us," which is quite interesting. Right here it is also happening in Vice City. A girl on a car is dancing and these descriptions on those videos are funny every time. They always make me smile. Someone call the Department of Transport on this dump truck. And honestly, well, I agree. Right here we can see the two characters who are also relevant to the story, Baylux and Roxy. They're shooting a clip and you'll actually see a little later in the video how much they changed in trailer 2 because they were visibly altered a lot. Again, this is happening in Vice City with a huge crowd, drifting, the clip being filmed, lots of cars. Nightlife in the game will be absolutely crazy. And look at the effects. This is trailer 1 by the way. The smoke and the shadows from each person standing in front of the cars look incredibly good. Here we get a better look. It is actually not the same place where they are filming it, because in the back of the shot you can literally see Jacob Hut strip club, which will be visited quite a lot and will be relevant to the story. Why are they in front of it, you might ask? Because they are connected to Drake 1 Priest, who is directly connected to Booby Ike, since they both own Only Raw Records label where Baylux and Roxy are involved. This shot is pretty interesting too. It shows something happening on a highway somewhere in Vice City. I do not know the exact location, but in the back you can see the sign saying Vice City Port and Keys. Plus in the game we will obviously see Vice City International Airport too, which we will talk about a bit later. Again, talking about NPCs, we will definitely have lots of cool random interactions, and this is one of them. The guy just left his car in the middle of the highway to do this on the road. Quite interesting. This shot also takes place in Vice City because in the back you can see the buildings. It looks like some kind of biker gang, if I'm not wrong. They are the high rollers. And why am I so sure? Because you can see this interesting looking guy who will actually appear a bit later in the same trailer, and this is the same person. They're on bikes and dirt bikes as well as ATVs. People are hyping them up and it looks pretty interesting. This is probably one of the outskirts of Vice City, definitely not the downtown area. Here we can see them again with a cool title on this news channel, Dirt Bike Dirtbags. We can actually see a few police vehicles, people are being detained, some are hyping them up while they're crossing the street and running away from the police. Again, it feels very lively and interesting. I believe this will happen quite a lot in the game. The last shot from trailer 1 actually features the guy I was just talking about, the high rollers guy. I'm pretty sure this is him. Same hairstyle, same beat, same body structure. In the back we can see the bridge, some advertisements and customized cars that will be part of the high rollers lifestyle. Maybe this character is not even random. Maybe he'll be a side character that we'll see several times. It is not clear at the moment, but could be possible. Now we are moving to trailer 2, which features even more Vice City moments than the first one. Let's take a look at them because they are beautiful. Right here, Jason is driving. We can see a few high rises on the right, workers doing construction work on the left, people sitting in the trunk of a car, something that I don't really remember happening in GTA 5, but it is in GTA 6 now and it's pretty cool. The plane flying above also looks really good, lots of detail. Again, we can see a sign that says Ambrosia and Vice City Airport. Over here, it's Ocean Drive. We can see two girls looking at Jason while he is doing bench press and he's actually lifting 120 kilos. That is quite a lot, so he's obviously jacked. In the background we can see a woman walking her dog, a few NPCs just minding their own business, working out. Overall, this shot looks very cinematic and extremely interesting. Here, Jason is driving by Little Haiti area. A few police cars are visible and they are detaining some people. On top we can see a metro rail, something that is actually in Rio, Miami, called Miami Metro Rail. We will obviously be able to use it too, just as we could do with trains in Red Dead Redemption 2, the metro in GTA 5 and the metro in GTA 4, and we actually saw that in the leaks too, if you remember. If you wanted some action, here you are. Jason and Lucia are robbing a bank somewhere in downtown Vice City, because it's not just a small-time bank. As you can see, it's called Sinfrontera National Bank, so this is not just a small job. I think these two shots are connected. Here is the shot clip of Raul Batista doing a heist with Jason and Lucia, and it is probably the same one, because they are in the same outfits and have duffel bags, which strongly suggests the heist. Jason and Lucia are visible on the yacht in another moment from the trailer. It is obviously in Vice City because we can see buildings in the background and some kind of party going on with lots of NPCs around them. Lucia is in a very nice dress, Jason looks pretty cool too, and this is probably some type of a mission like we saw in trailer 1, where they are on a highway in a car, with Lucia wearing the same dress, but in trailer 2 it looks much better because it has more texture. By the way, we will see them in this exact clothes a little late too, so it's probably some kind of mission like we had in Red Dead Redemption 2 or GTA 5, where we had to hang out with Lenny, and in GTA 5 where we had a mission with Michael and his son Jimmy, so it's probably a mission like that where you just hang out, have a good time. Something interesting is happening here. We are obviously in the middle of a mission. Jason and Lucia has done something as the police helicopter is chasing them. It looks like Lucia has to jump from a window and Jason is helping her. The textures on the wall just look absolutely amazing. You can literally see the marks of dirt on the window. Right here is another interesting mission because we are literally in the center of Vice City on Ocean Beach with Jason doing a drive-by, shooting from the car window at someone. So this is probably some kind of pursuit mission with high stakes. Once again, we get a look at Vice City Metro Rail and Baylax. As I said, we saw them in the first trailer, now you can only see Baylax and she changed quite a lot. This moment from trailer 2 is absolutely mind-blowing, because you can see Lucia actually blowing up police vehicles that are pursuing them. And just look at the details. You can see Lucia sitting in the back of some truck that is heavily damaged. You can literally tell that half the roof is missing, but she's still there. I don't know whether it's just for that one mission or whether destruction of vehicles will be this detailed, but either way it looks amazing. The effects are very nice and it takes place on some kind of highway. We can see advertisements and a bridge, so it is taking place in Vice City, and maybe this is a continuation of that same bank heist from Sinfrontera National Bank, because Lucia seems to be wearing the same clothes. Here we get a look at Drake One Priest along Jason. They are reacting to some video in a very interesting way. They are clearly surprised. In the back we can see lots of people jogging and a dog. By the way, you can see a yacht and a Ferris wheel, so it's obviously taking place in Vice City in some downtown central area. Right here is a very interesting moment. Lucia and some very jacked women are fighting, nearly falling over plane. I do not even know what is happening, but this mission is probably by far the craziest one. There are maybe even more interesting ones later, but for now this looks insane. You can obviously see lots of high-rise buildings in the background, so they are flying over Vice City, and it looks incredibly intense. Here we see another intense mission where literally towing a safe in the back of a pickup truck through Vice City at night. So obviously again it is some type of a heist. They probably robbed the bank, maybe a smaller one this time, but it's still pretty cool. Actually this moment from trailer is an Easter egg to Fast and Furious 5, because they had this similar moment in the movie. Over here we get a look at a mysterious character whose name we do not know yet, but he is not random. First of all, because Lucia and Jason are very close to him. They are obviously having a great time, and it's probably that same mission I was talking about where Lucia and Jason are wearing the same clothes. This guy appeared several times in trailer 2. I made a video about mysterious characters we saw in trailers and screenshots, and he's one of them. He will surely be relevant to the story, and it will be interesting to know what role he takes on. Here we are looking at Ocean Beach once again. This place is beautiful with lots of NPCs and expensive cars. You can literally see two girls crawling out of a car just to get a photo or a video for their social media. Some cars are customized, they look very nice. Just look at the rims of that Obey car. They are pretty sick. Here you can see a guy taking a picture of a few girls, taking a picture with a man who may be quite popular. Basically, life on Ocean Beach will be very interesting and exciting. Again, this shot is also on Ocean Beach. It is a club that we actually see in the artwork of Baylax and Roxy. It is Ocean View Hotel, because in the background of that artwork you can see the name. Purple neon lights look absolutely amazing, girls are dancing on the roofs and lots of people are having fun. This location will be very interesting. We actually saw it in the short clip of Lucia and Jason driving past the Ocean View Hotel on Ocean Beach. You can see it on the left side. It's a little bit blurred, but it's still there. This clip is very short, only 1 second long. Lucia is looking out of her car and she looks absolutely amazing. In the back, even though everything is blurred, the shot still looks very cinematic. Jack of Hearts strip club is visible here once more, and it looks even better than it did in trailer 1. I will not go into into details, but we're definitely going to have a lot of fun time here. By the way, on the right side you can see the owner of the club, Booby Ike. In this moment you can see Jason and Lucia on a jet ski. In the background you can see a yacht with a party going on, inflatable flamingos, more jet skis, some signs, obviously high-rise buildings, and an island too. So it is clearly a yacht party, and Jason and Lucia seem to be a part of it, having a lot of fun. This moment is also quite interesting. Lucia is jumping from the bike after a moving truck that has a container with a Lamborghini, which is GTA's Pegasi. This looks like an intense mission. There are lots of high-rise buildings around the place, and it's happening on a highway. It looks good, and I think it could be some type of a mission that Booby Ike could give us, because he is described as the Vice City legend in the official description, so he could be the one who ordered this mission to happen. And finally, this beautiful shot, it is the sunset, and we see Jason driving over a bridge. We can see a boat, lots of mansions and houses, and it all looks beautiful. Look at this, very cinematic. There are lots of buildings, including one that is being constructed and that I mentioned earlier. Very nice sunset shot. I really wanted to say that we're done here and we're moving to the screenshots, but not yet. We still have some extra things to talk about. These are artworks and character screenshots that take place in Vice City, but we will still have some special Vice City screenshots too, so stay for them. First of all, we can see Booby Ike, the owner of Jack of Hearts Strip Club. He is in his club, as you can tell from the background. Since we're talking about Jack of Hearts Strip Club, I wanted to cover everything in relation to that club so we can move on. Here is the artwork of Drake One Priest. He is outside Jack of Hearts Strip Club because he's directly connected to Booby Ike. You can see high-rise buildings all around the place, in the background, the Jack of Hearts sign, and lots of people along with security. If you saw the leaks, this place looks amazing, even considering that it was in 2022 and the footage was even earlier. Booby Ike is sitting in his office, pistol on the table, with lots of money and jewelry around him. In this shot, they are outside the club, Booby Ike and Drake One Priest together. In the background, you can see security and people talking. Drake One Priest and Booby Ike actually leaving the car, so they have just arrived, I guess. In this one, Booby Ike is clearly enjoying the girls working in his strip club. He's literally sitting there with them around. One more scene shows Booby Ike drinking from a double cup in his club, while Drake One Priest here is on the second floor. He's just standing there with a couple of people around him are near the balcony looking down, clearly having a great time. One more screenshot of Drake One Priest shows Baylax and Roxy too. Since they are part of their label owned by Booby Ike and Drake One Priest, obviously they are together in the club. Another screenshot shows Real Dimes dancing on their car in front of Jack of Hearts Club. You can see all those same buildings around the place that we saw in trailer 1, so it is probably the same event but in trailer 2. Here is a short clip of Booby Ike again. He's in his club, having a great time, looking at the camera and smiling. In the background you can see money flying around and people having a great time. Now let's talk about artworks involving our main characters, Jason and Lucia. The artwork given along with the first trailer takes place on Ocean Beach. You have probably seen it a million times by now, but it is again in Vice City. Jason and Lucia are together and it's happening in front of Atlantis Hotel on Ocean Beach. The other artwork given to us alongside trailer 2 is also in Vice City, where they're in the middle of a heist. Lucia has a briefcase and police along with a helicopter are after them. The boat they were on is full of bullet holes. In the background you can see lots of different buildings and the bridge. Basically, it is in the heart of Vice City. Do you remember a very bright location with lots of art and the car meet where people gather with heavily customized vehicles? It is actually based on real life Wynwood in Miami, and this artwork of Raul Batista also takes place in the same area. You can see lots of art on the walls with a container structure and Raul Batista, who looks very nice. Next up is Ocean View Hotel. I mentioned this artwork before. We can see Real Dimes, Roxy and Baylax. It is on Ocean Beach. We gotta look at this place quite a few times in the game, especially at night, and it will look absolutely mind-blowing. Now I want to draw your attention to this. In GTA 6 there will be a studio, obviously owned by Booby Ike and Drake One Priest, which belongs to the Only Raw Records music label. Real Dimes, Drake One Priest and our main characters will probably be there quite a few times. So this is the screenshot where we can see Drake One Priest, some NPCs and the music application that looks a lot like FL Studio, along with a lot of electronics that look very nice. We actually see that place more in the screenshots of Baylax. You can see her in that studio. I'm not completely sure if it's the same one, but probably is. However, I'm absolutely sure that this is all happening in Vice City, and by the way, this short clip too, where we can see Drake One Priest and Real Dimes entering the studio. You can see that they even have some awards and the sign that says recording, so this is probably the room we just saw. Another short clip is taking place in Jack of Hearts, and it's about Roxy and Baylax. You can tell that this is Jack of Hearts because of the balloons behind. Again, real dimes are recording in the studio here, and it looks pretty cool. It is all happening in the same studio, very likely. This shot is almost like in Vice City 2, though it's not clear exactly where, but you can see Drake, One Priest and Roxy in the car. Maybe it's in front of Jack of Hearts strip club. Right here in the screenshot of Jason on Ocean Beach, he is leaning against a tree with a phone. We can see an expensive car in the background, lots of NPCs, nightlife buzzing, and people standing on the roof. By the way, take a look at the windows. Those rooms seem enterable, and I hope they are. Another screenshot of Jason shows him probably standing on some bridge or somewhere like that. We can see lots of highways and roads in the background along with high rises. They look very cool. Just take a look at the details. His arms, hair, watch, everything looks so nice and realistic. Again, it is undoubtedly somewhere in Vice City. Now for the screenshots involving Lucia. They're at some pool in the center of Vice City. Obviously you can see Jason in the background. Lucia has AirPods in her ears and she is just in the pool having a great time. Another shot is this one. In trailer 2 we saw Jason and Lucia in nice club clothes, and I told you to remember them because that is the same nightclub, probably in that same mission or event. Right here you can see Raul Batista by himself in the car with a duffel bag of money. In the background we can see Lone Bank sign, which is a returning bank from GTA 5, so it is definitely Vice City. Right here we can see lots of high-rise buildings, drawbridge and the sunset. Raul Batista is on a yacht, it's definitely in Vice City, and the last shot shows Raul Batista in a white costume with NPCs in the back. It looks a bit like Ocean Drive, but I'm not sure. I don't know where exactly this could be located, but it's definitely Vice City again. Now we are finally moving to the screenshots of Vice City itself, because all the things I have showed you before were mostly extras about the characters, even though you could see Vice City in them. But now we are moving to screenshots that are basically 100% in Vice City. The first one is a plane flying over the sign Vice City. It is probably going to be somewhere close to Vice City Airport, although it is not clear exactly where. Still, it is a sign. I would really love to visit it in the game when it comes out. The second screenshot is on Ocean Beach and it shows us something interesting. We can see a young guy with an obviously mature woman. He's probably a cougar and he's probably with her for something other than love. The beach is visible, lots of palm trees. The scenery looks amazing with all this sunlight. You can literally see a palm tree leaf on top of that structure, lots of NPCs chilling by the pool. Overall, looks very great. In this screenshot over here, we get a look at the center of Vice City. As I mentioned earlier, we can see a basketball court where Jason Calhampton are playing basketball, and you can literally see Lucia standing right there. There is some type of police pursuit going on and the criminals are running from the police. We can see a hotel named Valletta. In the background, lots of buildings, high rises, skyscrapers are visible. Helicopters are flying too. Overall, this looks very beautiful and shows just how big Vice City really is. Right here, we get a look at these two men who were visible in the first trailer, because many people speculated that these two characters are actually the same ones from the first trailer, but they are just changed. Maybe that is true, maybe not, I'm not sure, but this location where this screenshot is taking place is probably Little Haiti area of Vice City because of the structures in the background. In this screenshot we are once again on Ocean Beach. We can see a lot of people, a woman sunbathing, people walking by, one guy with a metal detector, a lifeguard, and an old couple with a grandfather checking out that woman that is sunbathing. People playing American football, and if you take a look at the buildings in the background, you will realize that those are from trailer 1, so it's basically on Ocean Beach. Over here, this screenshot is taken right in front of Ocean View Hotel. 4 women are getting detained. They obviously do not care because the police are detaining them and they're just having fun. They do not seem to take this situation seriously. I will say it again, take a look at the windows, you can see the interior inside. And something interesting is that if you take a look at the car, you can literally see condensation on the car, which is really crazy. This screenshot is taken inside Jack of Hearts Club. Once again, we see lots of strippers very up close. I'm not gonna go into all the details, but I'm just gonna say one thing. Just look at their sweat all over their bodies. Now, my favorite shot of Vice City is this screenshot. It looks amazing. Nighttime, neon lights all around the place just make the whole scene look so much better. Let's begin with the left corner. We can see lots of cars, including expensive ones. There is a concert hall, the Sumerian, which I believe might be a hotel, and obviously there is Sahara Arena that we saw in the first trailer. So this area is basically full of entertainment. There is a Ferris wheel and and in the background you can see a bridge, and something I have mentioned before is a huge cruise ship that will obviously be able to enter, explore, and maybe even drive. I'm not sure about that, but if that opportunity is in the game, then it's crazy. By the way, you can also see Vice City port. Overall, this looks amazing. The final screenshot before we move on to the community made map is this one. I believe it is somewhere in the Wynwood area. Most likely there is a metro rail above it, or maybe a highway. Again, bike gangs, probably the high rollers are visible here. Maybe it is another group, but I'm not sure. A homeless guy with a dog is there too, alone with the customized cars, a few vehicles and an advertisement on top. Some real estate agency, and something you have probably seen a bunch of times is the Guariana state license plate, which is based on real life Georgia, the state right next to Florida in real life. It is not clear whether it will be in the game, but we will find out pretty soon. We are now done with screenshots and trailer moments, and we are ready to take a look at the community made map. The map was created by Yanis and a number of people on Discord, and they absolutely deserve credit for their insanely hard work, because it takes a lot of time, people and triangulation to create such a map. It looks amazing, so let's get into it. Obviously, Vice City will be located on the right side. It is the biggest location on the whole map. It is much bigger than Los Santos and any other map in GTA series. So let's begin with the bottom left corner. This is actually the shot where a pickup truck is stowing a safe. Obviously, it is the heist Jason will be involved in, and it is happening here in the place called Gables Estate. Right next to it, in the moment from trailer 2, Jason driving on the highway with a plane flying overhead. It is located right here, and it actually helps us understand why the plane flies so low and why another plane comes from that direction and it is so high in the sky. Because Vice City International Airport will be located right here on the left side, so it all makes sense. The screenshot of Ro Batista, you can literally see that drawbridge in the back that we saw in the screenshot, and all those buildings are mapped out too. Now I want your attention focused on this location. The Cuesta area is actually based on real life Brickell, which is one of the most prestigious areas of Miami. So this moment from trailer 2 where they're robbing a bank takes place somewhere here. Then the moment from trailer 1 where we saw those high-rise buildings and the drawbridge takes place right here near the Miami River. And if you look to the right, Fisher Island is where we'll probably be able to play golf. At the moment it is in red because it is only speculated, but it is most likely going to be in the game. The Vice City port is based on real life Miami port that we saw in trailer 1. Looking back to the left, here we can see Lucia fighting very jacked girl on the plane. A very interesting shot that we saw. It takes place right here. Another one on the bridge is just next to it, and a little bit to the left too, near Little Havana, which is GTA's Little Cuba, is the moment where Lucia blows up police vehicles while they're pursuing them. It happens right here, and it is a crazy shot. Over here we get a look at another really interesting place. As you can see, the leaks took place right here. I cannot show them, but they were here. And this is the shot from trailer 2 where you can see Lucia jumping from the window while a helicopter is above them. It takes place right here. Another moment from trailer 1 with a woman that I did not include because I wasn't sure, but based on mapping community research, it should be happening in this area. Then we have two screenshots right here. It is Little Haiti area where we saw those two guys from trailer 1 who were heavily changed. And there is also that screenshot we talked about last, which looks very nice. Next to it is the moment where the guy was grabbing his crotch as an apology. It actually takes place right here, and it actually does make sense because he's driving from the top to the bottom of the map, and if we take a look at the sign, it is actually right. Over here we get a look at the place where the DJ was playing. It looks pretty nice too. Here is the moment we saw Drake One Priest and Jason reacting to a video from a phone, and that takes place right here. Here's also the place where Lucy and Jason were riding inside a red supercar, and it is located right next to Sahara Arena. Talking about this screenshot, I was not sure about this, but now that I look at this place, I really had not noticed it before, but in the back you can see high-rise buildings, so this screenshot actually takes place in Vice City, and they managed to connect this screenshot to the Starfish Island. Furthermore, the moment with dirt bike guys takes place on this intersection, which is quite interesting. Just near the intersection, the moment from trailer 2 that we saw with Baylux takes place right next to it, and we know that based on the grass in the area. Next is the moment where we saw the Ferris wheel and lots of other cool things, which is Sahara Arena obviously. It overlooks this way where the cruise ship is docked, and everything looks very beautiful. Over here, our favorite location is Jack of Hearts Strip Club. It will be located here, so please remember this place because we'll all be visiting it a lot. Right outside of this place, they seem to have filmed the moment with Baylax and Roxy. Again, in this screenshot and in this moment from trailer 1, they are right next to Jack of Hearts Strip Club, as visible in all the screenshots and trailer moments. Then, if we look a little to the right, we actually get to see the Venetian Islands from trailer 1. They look absolutely amazing, and they overlook Vice Beach. Another screenshot that I did not know where it took place, and they managed to place it right here, is the moment where Lucia is in the pool and Jason is behind her. It looks towards this way. Since we are talking about the Venetian Islands, I think we should also mention this place, because it's happening there too. You can see the entirety of Vice City, lots of skyscrapers and high-rise buildings. Again, absolutely beautiful. Just next to it from trailer 1, the moment with the sugar daddy on the yacht is right here. Another moment from trailer 2 just next to that is Jason and Lucia on jet skis. It takes place right here, as you can see on the map, and based on the leaks, one of our safe houses will be located in Vice City over here, as shown by this icon. By the way, there are lots of tennis courts, one on the Venetian Islands and one right next to them, and basketball will be in the game too, so there will be lots of things to do. Then let's take a look here. The high rollers moment take place right here, as I said, in Little Haiti area, which is not that far from the Venetian Islands. Wynwood is the moment from trailer 1, and it's located right here. It is very close to Little Haiti and close to the northern part of Vice City. We're almost done with Vice City, so let's take a look at this place. It is actually from the postcard. Again, it looks very nice and beautiful. You can see lots of those buildings that were visible from there. You can literally see that it is here because of the picnic islands visible from that screenshot. But before we move to Vice Beach area, I want to touch on a little bit of Waning Sands. Actually, this place where we see the gas station. In the background, we can see the tops of high-rise buildings that are located in Vice City. Just so you understand and have the right perspective. What is also interesting is that we're going to have a hospital in the game, obviously, and there will be a Live Links golf club, which was in the original GTA Vice City. If you remember, there was also a movie studio, and I think it is very likely that all of this will return in GTA 6. As someone who played Vice City a lot, I am very excited for it. Then finally Vice Beach, the northern part of it to be more exact. You see someone standing on the roof, and whoever you think it is, I believe it's Lucia, it takes place right here. Then two screenshots, one where we can see Hotel Valletta and the basketball court takes place here, and you can see all the buildings in the background that we talked about. Another screenshot shows a cougar and the young guy beside the pool, and it all takes place right here. If we move a little farther south, we can see the moment from trailer 1, the opening where we first saw Vice City. Again, trailer 2 moment with lots of people near the Minion Hotel takes place right here. Then here is the most packed place with all the shots from trailers and screenshots because it's located right next to Ocean View Hotel. As you can see in the screenshot where girls are being detained, in the moment where Jason and Lucia hugging, and in the moment where Jason was standing by the palm tree from his screenshot, is this exact place right here that I just mentioned. Then Ocean View Hotel from trailer 2, once again the moment from trailer 2 where Jason was driving by and shooting, and from trailer 1 a very prominent scene we all remember. And actually from trailer 2 another moment where Jason is pumping iron and doing bench press is right here. A few leaks took place over here. As you can see, it is very well mapped out with almost every building being grey, which means they are fairly certain of their location, and the ones are in red are less certain ones, more like speculation. Here the woman on top of the car with her dump truck, it takes place here, also in Vice Beach, and the last moment from trailer 1 with lots of NPCs on the beach takes place here, nearly at the very bottom of Vice Beach. Basically, that is it. This is how Vice City looks like. It's absolutely huge. If you do not think this way, then you will see when the game comes out, because it is indeed huge. And this is just the buildings that they are 100% sure about, because they appear in trailers, screenshots, leaks, and they triangulated their locations. The number of buildings is just mind-blowing, and those are not even all of them. We still have this part of the map that isn't mapped out properly well, but a lot is still left to uncover. You have made it halfway through the video, and I just wanted to thank you for watching it. I really hope you're enjoying, because we still have a few locations to go over. The only thing I want to ask you is to subscribe and leave a like. Sorry for interrupting, please continue watching. Welcome to the Wetlands, the untamable jewel of Leonida's crown. You never know what lies beneath the surface of this primordial expanse. The gators may be the most famous attraction, but there are far deadlier predators and weirder discoveries among the mangroves. As the description suggests, this is the untamable jewel of Leonida's his crown, and there is plenty to discover here. First of all, there are the gators, which are clearly meant to be one of the biggest attractions. But what makes this especially interesting is the mention of deadlier predators and weirder discoveries among the mangroves. Because, you know, in GTA 5, GTA San Andreas, Red Dead Redemption, we had the Bigfoot mystery and other hidden secrets. In Leonida, which is based on Florida, there is also a mysterious creature that is basically the Florida version of Bigfoot called the skunk ape. It actually lives in the Everglades, which is what Grassrivers seem to represent in GTA 6. What I think Rockstar is implying with the mention of deadlier predators and weirder discoveries is that beyond ordinary wildlife, we will almost certainly find some mysteries or strange creatures there, such as the skunk ape or unusual people, much like the kind of characters we had in Red Dead Redemption 2, such as killers and other very interesting people living out there on the edges of the map. I also think we may find cabins there, along with the discoveries to make and maybe even weird creatures or ghosts. So there is definitely a lot going on in this area. First, we need to look at the postcard from the official GTA 6 website. It shows an airboat, which makes perfect sense for an area like this, since that type of transportation is very common in real life in Everglades. Beyond that, there is not too much else to see, just a lot of grass, bushes, trees, birds and the sunset. That is basically it at first glance, but do not judge too quickly because the screenshots and trailers reveal much more. So I think we should take a look at the trailers first and then move on to the screenshots. This is the shot from the first trailer and it looks a lot like the postcard we just saw. Once again we can see different birds and people on the airboat, but I think it's worth taking a closer look at them. One person is driving and controlling the airboat, while another has some kind of carbine or shotgun in his hands, resting by his seat. We will get a better look at these people later in the screenshots because they will be the kind of people living in these locations. The point is this place will clearly be big on hunting, just like Mount Kalaga, although this one will mostly focus on alligators. I also believe that, as we had in Red Dead Redemption 2, there will be legendary animals here. In Grassrivers, I think we will definitely have a few of them, especially some huge alligator that is unlike any other and gives us some kind of legendary loot. Maybe, just like in Red Dead Redemption 2, we will be able to craft clothing out of that legendary animal, but maybe I'm just getting ahead of myself. The other shot is right next to that one, and you probably remember it very well. We see lots of flamingos, birds, ducks, probably even deer in the background, and of course alligators. So there is a lot of greenery here, and this whole location, Grassrivers, will be extremely dangerous to walk through on foot. Just like in Red Dead Redemption 2, alligators are no joke. If they catch you, you are basically done for. So you will have to be very careful walking around there, and it will probably be much better to use some kind of transportation, just like airboat or a car. Still, this area will be very interesting, especially for players who enjoy fishing or hunting. Now we're getting to something even more exciting, because what we saw before was mostly just animals, nothing too crazy. But here in the second trailer we get a better look at what seems to be a mission taking place there. Obviously we can see two airboats, a bridge crossing over the area and some animals, including deer running and even some boars fleeing as well. But what is more interesting and what we should focus on is that this mission seems to involve Jason and Brian Hedder. We do not see Lucia here, which might mean that this mission takes place before we actually meet Lucia from prison. You can also see a huge minigun mounted on the helicopter with Brian handling it and Jason controlling the helicopter, which looks absolutely insane. It looks incredibly detailed and the whole shot almost looks like real life. The reflections on the water are excellent and you can see two people on the airboat. One driving while the other one looks at Jason, probably shooting him. And just look at that reflection on Jason's glasses. You can literally see sunlight passing through them. That looks incredible. The whole scene shows a very intense pursuit in the helicopter. And I am pretty sure many people, myself included, will try to fly under that bridge while in the helicopter, just because it looks so neat to do. Now let us talk about the screenshots, because we have 4 of them and they are very interesting and give us even more information. Once again we see an airboat. As I said before, it is a huge part of this location. We also saw them in other places like Ambrosia, but in Grassrivers they seem to be a major feature. These are clearly the kinds of people we will meet in this area, like hillbillies or rednecks, maybe even more of that type. You can also clearly see that they have modified guns, which look really cool. The weapons are different too. You can see scopes on them along with different camouflage patterns and different colors, so obviously gun customization will be pretty big in this game. What is also interesting is the detail in in the scene. You can see a bobcat that they caught, so bobcats will definitely be present in this location. You can also see an alligator once again, which makes it clear that hunting alligators here is a normal thing. Then we see some kind of bait for fishing, I think, although I could be wrong. We can also see Patriot beer cans and bottles, and those bottles just look fantastic. You have probably already noticed how realistic the bubbles are and how the liquid moves inside the bottle, so everything in this scene looks incredible. In the background we can see some kind of cabin again with the Patriot beer flag, and then there is the sign that says no trespassing, violators will be persecuted. But I think in this case, if you violate the property, they will probably just kill you and nobody would care. They also have some black wrapped objects there, and I honestly do not know what it could be. Maybe it's some kind of drugs, maybe I'm wrong, but who knows. Overall, this location looks really interesting and I would love to explore it. If we look more closely at the NPCs, the guy looks pretty cool with a funny haircut and colorful glasses. The woman has different tattoos and the guy has a pretty cool necklace with what looks to be like a shark tooth. His beard also looks large and very realistic. I had never noticed this before, but you can also see that his left eye may be damaged because only one eye seems to be open, which is another interesting detail. Then we have another screenshot which Rockstar placed in the Grassrivers folder and named it Grassrivers 02. Also, you cannot actually see any Grassrivers here directly, still it is clearly part of that area. This location is very interesting and neat. You can see animals, a boat full of people fishing, and some kind of cafes and restaurants with lots of people around. You may also notice what seems to be like a kid, which could mean that children will be in the game because that person really does look like a child. Another interesting thing is that you can literally see the interior, so this seems to be some kind of a bar or restaurant with the inside visible. That is also pretty cool. In the background you can see lots of other restaurants and small cafes, a bunch of cars and boats, and more interestingly you can literally see Vice City with many skyscrapers and buildings and even a factory on the right. The variety of vehicles is amazing. This location will clearly be part of the more civilized side of Grassrivers and it will be very interesting to explore. In particular, that bar or restaurant with the visible interior looks like a place we might actually be able to enter, especially since you have probably already heard rumors that many buildings in GTA 6 will be enterable and this may be one of them too. Once again, this area will be huge when it comes to hunting and airboats because airboats just keep appearing everywhere. You can see them in almost every screenshot or moment from this region. Here again there is another airboat and it seems to be a different model because it looks differently from others. We can see a guy controlling it and another guy with a double barrel shotgun clearly shooting at alligators. What I actually think is that the people we see in this screenshot may be the same people from the first screenshot, except for the woman, since she is not visible here. Look at the driver, he looks a lot like the guy from the first screenshot, even though the tattoos are a little bit different. The guy with the double barrel also seems to have the same body structure and haircut as the one in the first screenshot, although that does not really matter. I do not think they are especially important because they are probably just random NPCs. Still, you can see 3 alligators approaching them, which is obviously a very bad situation to be in. The water and the greenery looks absolutely amazing, and you can also spot extra details like a bucket, a net, and the box for whatever they catch, and it all looks great. Now to the last screenshot. This final screenshot shows some action. You can clearly see a pursuit, so alligator hunting is probably illegal, or maybe it depends on how many you kill because there are lots of dead alligators in the back of the truck. One guy is driving, another in the back with a gun, and you can see police cars chasing them. Once again there is an airboat and even a helicopter. Overall this looks very intense and really cool. This one is one of my favorite shots from that area because it looks so good. You can see even more alligators, flamingos, and wildlife in general, along with deers and birds. Now let us take a look at the community made map State of Leonida, which was created by Yanis and a number of other amazing people who deserve to be credited. They are the GTA 6 mapping community on Discord, so a big shout out to them for all this incredible hard work. I will use this map to talk about Grassrivers. So let us begin with the most mapped out part of the Grassrivers area, which is obviously Watson Bay. This is the screenshot that takes place right here, as you can see. Basically they managed to map out all the buildings they could see in that screenshot, including some cafes, restaurants, and similar places. They even connected those buildings to real life locations that were likely used as references for this area. So overall it looks pretty cool. Then in this part of the map, the shots they pointed out in the middle of Grassrivers are mostly speculation because you cannot really know exactly how Grassrivers will look. It is just a huge area of swamps, trees, bushes, water, and all kinds of greenery. That makes it one of the hardest parts of the map to pinpoint because you cannot really make certain assumptions when all you have is a large stretch of swampy landscape. But still, they did a very good job. They are obviously much better at this than I am, so it's not really for me to judge. As you can see, the shot from trailer 1 takes place right here, and there is another one that I did not mention in the trailer section earlier. They actually placed that moment from trailer 2 right here as well. I did not include it there because I was not completely sure it actually took place in the Grassrivers area. However, I think the people from the mapping community are more knowledgeable than I am, so I think they may be right about this. It is very possible that it really does take place somewhere around here. Overall, the map suggests that this region is very close to the Leonida Keys, right next to the prison where we will meet Lucia, and also near Hamlet. But roughly speaking, it will look something like this.
What you doing up there? I'm just fixing some leaks.
Keeping Leonida sweet. The battle for the health and wealth of Leonida begins here. In the heart of Leonida, American industry and old school values still reign supreme, whatever the cost. The Elite Crystal Sugar Refinery provides the jobs, while the local biker gang provides almost everything else. As that description implies, biker gangs dominate this space. As we will see in the screenshots later, there is a large factory called the Elite Crystal Sugar Refinery that supplies local jobs. So this area leans heavily industrial. Expect factories, hangars, refineries and working class neighborhoods where old school values still hold sway. It is notable that the site says keep Leonida sweet, because I suspect there is much more going on there than just the sugar refinery. First of all, let's look at the postcard from the official GTA 6 website. It reveals quite a few telling details. The postcard shows the Elite Crystal Sugar Refinery logo, a packed parking lot, trucks leaving the plant and a few workers on the site. Overall, the factory looks massive, and I strongly suspect that most of these buildings will be enterable and full of interesting content. The scene is at the sunset, we can see vegetation and trees in the background, you can also see a water tower, and I'm convinced that Ambrosia will not be solely focused on sugar production. I think there is an undercover operation in this location, where other substances are manufactured and then distributed by biker gangs. Given the fact that Leonida is based on Florida, which is the state filled with drug activity, that would fit the setting, and I expect missions and encounters involving those gangs and their shipments. Other than that theory, the postcard mainly shows how huge this area is, and I am excited to explore it when the game releases. Moving on to trailer 1, Ambrosia itself does not appear on screen there, but there are two locations that sit very close to it. They seem to lie along the main road leading out of Ambrosia, so for the purposes of this breakdown, I will treat them as part of Ambrosia area. First, we see a shot of Jason and Lucia driving with the money in the car and police vehicles passing them by. In the background, behind police cars, there are buildings and construction going on. Ambrosia is actually behind the direction Jason and Lucia are driving toward. So this shot gives us a view of the opposite side of the map. There is a satirical ad for Angstipan on the billboard, which is Rockstar's style of humor about a drug that numbs emotions. And to the right of this shot, there is a billboard that hints at a mall in the area, which is exciting to see. On the left there are residential houses and some forested areas. The other clip from trailer 1 shows a police officer chasing a fat naked man in front of a gas station. As you can see, it is a social media post by Planet Leonida Man with a pretty funny caption. The reason I include this here is because the community map that was assembled from leaks, trailers and triangulation places this moment very close to Ambrosia. The map pointed the exact spot in red because they are not certain of the placement, but it sits between Ambrosia and Vice City, so it could easily be considered part of the Ambrosia region. The scene itself features lots of vegetation, cars, and in the distance, high-rise buildings peeking through the fog, which suggests it is close to Vice City. Overall, this shot looks very nice, with wet ground and rainy weather that suits the area. Talking about trailer 2, it gives us almost nothing, specifically labeled as Ambrosia. Most of what we saw there was Port Gellhorn, Leonida Keys and Vice City, so Ambrosia did not get direct attention. Fortunately, we do have 5 screenshots to examine. The first one shows a biker gang named Final Chapter, and you can even read Ambrosia on their jackets. Their jackets say 1982 MC, Final Chapter, and almost every jacket is different. In the background there is a gas station, an advertisement for used cars, typical Rockstar billboard ads, and political trolling like a poster that reads "Vote Erin Henshaw." There is a sign that says Ambrosia County Sheriff's Office and lots of American flags. If I'm not mistaken, there is a large tree-covered mountain in the fog behind the place, not just a small hill. That is most likely Mount Kalaga, which I will talk about in the next video. The next screenshot shows a light crystal refinery again. You can see the same buildings from the postcard, plus more factories and structures in the background. The industrial area is huge. There is also something that looks like a raceway or motorsports park nearby, and a bridge with many cars on it. We can see 2 airboats on the lake, which is actually called Lake Leonida. Overall, this shot proves that Ambrosia is far bigger than it first appears. In my opinion, it is larger than Sandy Shores or Polita Bay from GTA 5. Another screenshot shows more bikers. The man in the front has a long beard and a cap that reads Liberty City Cycles. And actually, this is not the first nod to Liberty City in the trailers. Since we already know Lucia has ties to Liberty City, the cap could simply be a brand, or it might hint at the larger connections around the map. A woman in the shot holds a revolver, and the level of detail in the characters is just impressive. It's not clear where this screenshot takes place exactly, but we can see a very nice bike in the background and that it's some kind of industrial area. This cinematic screenshot shows a field set on fire with a truck and a figure in the bush. That looks like a mission or a random event, given the situation. In the distance you can see a factory emitting smoke and a sunset sky. It all looks like a mission or a side quest that we'll run into. And the final screenshot isn't like the others, and might actually make Ambrosia loved by players. It looks like a car wash where attractive women clean a windshield of a guy in a very unique way. The driver getting his car cleaned looks like Wyman from GTA 6 leaks, you might know him. In the background you can just see some signs and the interior of a car that looks stunningly detailed. The dash has buttons, indicators and a touchscreen with navigation, audio and climate icons. Whether that system will be interactable remains unclear at the moment, but it is cool to see such fidelity in the interior design. Now let's look at the community-made map. State of Leonida map was created by Yanis and a number of dedicated contributors on Discord, and it is worth crediting them for the hard work. On that map, Ambrosia sits right here and it borders a large lake called Lake Leonida or Lake Okeechobee from real life. The area is not mapped as thoroughly as Port Gellhorn or Leonida Keys. Ambrosia together with Mount Kalaga are among the least revealed locations so far. On the map you can spot the raceway that I mentioned before, and that matches the screenshot perspective. One screenshot with many bikers appear to face Mount Kalaga, which explains the big mountain in the distance. The postcard viewpoint is located right here and looks over the refinery complex, and the burning field screenshot aligns to this other spot, again with the factory visible beyond. The 2 moments from trailer 1 that we discussed are placed on the outskirts rather than inside Ambrosia, but they are close enough that we can treat them as part of the broader Ambrosia area for now. One of those clips is Jason and Lucia driving, which shows residential neighborhoods and the shopping center to the right, and the other one is the Running Man clip, which was placed near Vice City, and they marked it in red because its exact location is uncertain at the moment.
What's your name?
Jason Duval.
Wild, wild country, room to breathe on the state's northern fringes. A national landmark up against the state's northern border, Mount Kalaga offers prime hunting, fishing and off-road trails. In the lush surrounding backwoods, hillbilly mystics and paranoid radicals live far from the prying eyes of the government. As that description implies, this place will be located on the state's northern fringes, and that is very interesting and important because you probably know that many people think Guariana will be on the map and it will be a playable area. Guariana is based on the real-life state next to Florida, which is Georgia, because Florida is basically a flat state with no hills or mountains at all. That is why many people thought Georgia would be in GTA 6. We even saw Guariana state license plates, but this right here makes us think that we were wrong about Guariana, because it states that Mount Kalaga is located on the northern fringes, which implies that it is still in Leonida. And that might be true because when Rockstar Games create their titles, they combine locations since they cannot make them one-to-one to real life. They mix them together, take the most interesting parts and make them a little smaller. That is why they might have put Mount Kalaga on the map of GTA 6 to make it more interesting, because if they went with how Florida looks in real life, it would be pretty much flat. With mountains and all that, it becomes much more interesting. Then obviously we will have fishing, hunting and off-road trails there, and of course a pretty interesting variety of people like hillbilly mystics and paranoid radicals who live far from the prying eyes of the government. So basically people who live in the forest and those outcasts who don't like society. It will be pretty cool, like in Red Dead Redemption 2 when you interacted with different kinds of weird people. I think that will definitely come back in GTA 6. So let's look at the postcard from the official GTA 6 website. It reveals quite a few things to to us. First of all, we can see how good it looks. We can also see a few tourists in the background on their phones, and they have life vests and kayaks. You can see people walking on rocks in the background, a plane and the mountain in the background, a pretty big one. Obviously there is also a river and the water looks absolutely great. We can see deer too. This shot is really beautiful, to be honest, and it just shows the variety of events that will be happening there. Kayaking is one of them and it's pretty cool and neat. Now talking about trailers, we cannot really say much because Mount Kalaga has almost never appeared there, and we do not really have any shots that we can confidently say were captured in the Mount Kalaga region. The only one I can think of is the Thrillbilly Mud Club in the first trailer. Obviously we do not know exactly where it takes place, but based on the description about hillbilly mystics and this screenshot where they are dirt biking and this other one where they are clearly in the dirt, I could come to the conclusion that this one is somewhere in the Mount Kalaga region. The one where the guy is jumping on the table is also probably somewhere there because we can literally see a pretty high hill or even a mountain in the background. So those are the only two shots that we can somewhat confidently say might be in Mount Kalaga, because other ones are just completely out of question. Now we will move to screenshots, and we actually have 6 of them. So let us begin with the one with dirt bikers on dirt bikes. We can see a variety of dirt bikes, by the way. A raccoon on the left crawling quite close to all that action, and it looks very realistic. Just look at that dirt. It also looks beautiful on their vehicles and on people's skin too. It is like almost real. In the background we can see a barbecue area, a ketchup on the table, and basically people having food there. And in the background what is really interesting is that we can see some abandoned industrial buildings and these huge storage tanks. We will obviously have the ability to go up there because you can literally see some type of a bridge or pathway towards it. It is a bit destroyed and run down, so maybe we'll have to do a little parkour to get on top. I believe that inside of them or on top of them we could find something interesting like loot or some collectibles. It has some graffiti work there which looks pretty neat. You can see flags, an eagle, and overall this area looks pretty interesting to explore and investigate because something might be hiding in there, some mystery or even just some collectibles, which is very nice. Then this screenshot is pretty interesting and shows just how big the map is. Obviously we cannot really see much, but it shows how big a rural area is. In the background we can see the mountain. It's pretty huge. Wizzo News helicopter with a camera guy seemingly smiling and being happy about something. In the background there is a highway which looks great and pretty packed. It also helps to know that we don't see any other location in the background like Ambrosia or Port Gellhorn, so I wonder in what direction this shot looks. Then this one is obviously showing us some hillbilly mystics or radicals, as paranoid radicals were mentioned on the website, basically two hunters with carbines. They look very interesting, obviously like the kind of guys that would live in that area. They seemingly shot a deer and are on the way to skin it, and we can also see a squirrel on the tree crawling upward away from them. You cannot really see anything in the background, just lots of vegetation, grass, trees. Hunting will obviously be in the game. We will be able to hunt squirrels, deer, and basically anything that can run and breathe. Then this one is very beautiful. In my opinion, this is the best Mount Kalaga screenshot we have. We can see a puma on the right side. We can see a mountain seemingly on the right too, and it's probably very high. Then we can see bikers or biker gang. They are mainly in Ambrosia, but Ambrosia is next to Mount Kalaga. They are pretty close. Obviously those bikers do not care about traffic, they're just riding and doing whatever they do. Then we have trucks, we have a smaller river going there, and more wildlife visible in the background. There are train tracks on the bridge, and there is obviously a tunnel. You can literally see the entrance of the tunnel plus power lines over there. And there is a rock that looks a bit like a huge bear. Maybe it is a bear, I'm not sure, but it's probably just a rock, which looks pretty cool. We can see deer on the left side too, and that area looks pretty cool and will be great for hunting and probably some murder mysteries or something like that, like a body in the forest or under the bridge. Then here we can see a puma hunting deer with a group of deer drinking from a small puddle of water in the forest. There is not much else to see here, but it shows how wildlife will be interacting. Obviously one animal will be hunting another, and I believe that is something we have not seen before. In Red Dead Redemption 2 we have not had such a mechanic, if I'm not wrong, so if it's not just a random event and it actually happens all the time, then it's pretty cool because this is actually what would happen in real life. The last screenshot we have is the kayaking one. We can see a bridge and a train on it. I wonder if we'll be able to stop it in GTA 6, because in GTA 5 it was just impossible. Completely impossible. We can see water droplets flying around from the NPC as he hits the water with his paddles, and it looks pretty cool. I wonder how it will look in action in the game. We can also see a flood gauge, and I mentioned it when I first talked about the screenshots after the trailer 2 release, so nearly 1 year ago. As you can see, the flood gauge is a bit rusted on the bottom and better looking at the top, which might mean that the water level will change based on some events, probably because you can see number 2, number 3 and even up to number 4, and it's a little bit rusted. So it means it goes up and it goes down, but not to 6 or 5 feet. It is pretty interesting, and I hope it does change, because that would be pretty cool. Maybe there will be floods, hurricanes and everything. It's Florida after all. Then on the left side we can see a fox, which is pretty nice, and something I have actually never noticed before, and this is the first time I have seen it. There is actually a cabin in the background, like a small house with stairs, a balcony and even satellite dishes on top, which is pretty cool. I actually really want to visit that house now and see what's inside when GTA 6 comes out, which will be pretty soon, by the way. So that is it for screenshots. Now we will move to a little bit of information that we know and how it is illustrated on the Leonida map. The State of Leonida map was created by Yanis and a number of people on Discord, and it is worth crediting them for their insanely hard and detailed work. There is where Mount Kalaga will be located and how it will roughly look, because it is basically the only place out of every other that we know almost nothing about. It is obviously mainly countryside and mountains with no buildings and nothing like that, so you can't really map it out properly, but this place will be between Port Gellhorn and Ambrosia, just next to Lake Leonida. As you can see on the top it says Gloriana, because we don't know yet whether we'll have another state in the game or not, but let's look here. The map has managed to put the screenshot right here. It basically overlooks that direction, just like this, as you can see. And another screenshot they put is the one with the helicopter, because it overlooks the highway, which probably goes just right here. We will actually have a few mountains, not just one, more like mountains or pretty high hills. When I was talking about Ambrosia, I also mentioned Mount Kalaga, because from that shot where we can see the mountain in the fog over here, that is that place. Over here as well, about postcard shot, I said there is a mountain in the background, and this is likely it. This is the mountain that was seen in that postcard. It will probably be located right here. If you have made it here, you are a real one, and it means you have watched the whole video about every location. And I really hope that you now know something new about GTA 6. By the way, GTA 6 Trailer 3 is expected to release in the next few weeks before the earnings call. We'll have more info pretty soon, so please consider subscribing and turn the notifications on, because I'll be making such deep dives into Trailer 3, breaking down everything we'll see. Thank you again, I'll see you in the next one.